It's just after 7 a.m. when Marla opens the curtains. The neighborhood is quiet, the way it always is before coffee brews and sprinklers start their morning hiss. She's halfway through tying her robe when something catches her eye on the porch monitor. At first, she thinks it's a trick of the light, a shadow, maybe a cat. But when the screen refreshes, it's clear. There's a dog sitting at her door, not lying down, not sniffing around, sitting, perfectly still. Marla squints. The animal is skinny, dangerously so. Her fur hangs in uneven tufts along her sides, and ribs stretch beneath a patchy coat, like ridges of brittle porcelain. Her eyes are hollow but fixed straight ahead. She doesn't bark, doesn't whine, just waits. Marla steps to the door slowly. The wood creaks beneath her feet, and she hesitates before unlocking it. The dog doesn't move. Hand on the knob, Marla eases the door open a few inches. The dog lifts her head, but barely. No tail wag, no begging. Just those eyes, dull amber, rimmed with grime, watching as if they've been watching doors for a long time. Marla opens the door all the way. Still nothing. The dog's posture is remarkable, dignified, even regal in its own tragic way. Her spine is straight, her head high, like she's made a choice not to beg. Marla steps outside cautiously, heart thudding. The morning air is crisp, and the scent of last night's rain lingers on the porch tiles. The dog blinks once. Marla crouches. "Hey, sweetheart," she murmurs. "Are you lost?" Nothing. She inches forward. The dog's ears twitch, but her body remains perfectly still. Then, slowly, as if trained to do so, she lowers her gaze, not submission, but consideration. She's watching Marla just as carefully. Marla stops moving. "Okay," she whispers, "you're not ready." She goes back inside and returns a minute later with a bowl of water. When she places it near the edge of the porch, the dog still doesn't move. Marla backs away. It takes nearly 5 minutes, but the dog eventually rises. Her legs are stiff, her movements deliberate. She approaches the bowl, sniffs once, and drinks. 3 long pulls, then stops. She sits again. Marla watches from the doorway. She doesn't try to pet her, doesn't push, just sees her. A car door slams down the street. The dog doesn't flinch. She's used to sudden noise. Marla swallows hard. "How long have you been doing this?" she murmurs. That's when she knows. This dog didn't end up here by accident. She chose this house, this door, and she's not just hungry. She's waiting. The next morning, she's there again. Same spot, same posture. The bowl from yesterday is empty, nudged slightly to the side, as if she'd been careful not to tip it. Marla notices the way she sits, not slouched or curled, but upright, present. Waiting without expectation, but not without hope. She brings food this time. A few pieces of leftover chicken and a scoop of dry kibble borrowed from the neighbor's pantry. She sets it down and steps back. The dog doesn't move. She looks first, eyes flicking from the bowl to Marla as if asking permission or reassurance. Only then does she rise. Each step is quiet, intentional. She moves like she's been punished for being fast before. She approaches the bowl with care, nose twitching, but she doesn't lunge. She eats slowly, polite. Every chew is measured, not desperate. Marla sits cross-legged on the porch, arms wrapped around her knees. "You're something else," she murmurs, "a ghost with manners." The dog doesn't look up, but her ears shift slightly, registering the sound. It becomes a rhythm over the next few days. Every morning the dog appears at sunrise. Every evening she returns before dusk. Marla begins leaving a blanket on the porch. She places food gently. Water is always fresh. And always the dog eats quietly, then waits a while, never overstaying, never pushing. The neighborhood starts to notice. A child across the street points her out through a window. An older woman walking her terrier slows down to watch. But no one gets close. She doesn't allow it. Not yet. Marla talks to her sometimes, soft, steady conversation about the weather, the mail, the silence. The dog never reacts much, but the stillness seems less guarded now. Her shoulders aren't as tight, her breathing easier. On the fifth morning, Marla brings out a name. "I can't keep calling you sweetheart," she says, setting down a warm meal. "You need something real." The dog tilts her head ever so slightly. Marla smiles. "Hope. That's what you are, aren't you? Hope in the quiet." The dog doesn't flinch at the sound. From that moment, the name sticks. Marla says it gently every time she brings food, every time she steps outside, every time the dog returns. Hope. Marla reaches her hand out once, slow, palm up, fingers still. Hope blinks, but doesn't move. She doesn't back away, but she doesn't come forward either. It's enough. Later that week, a storm threatens the horizon. Clouds roll in, heavy and gray. As the wind picks up, Marla steps onto the porch and finds Hope already waiting. Her fur ruffles in the gusts, but she stands firm. Marla sets down the food. "You don't want to be out in this," she says softly. Hope looks at her, just looks. And for the first time, her tail gives the smallest flick, not a wag, just a note. "I hear you." Word spreads quietly. The woman with the skinny dog on her porch becomes part of the neighborhood rhythm. Some nod when they pass Marla in the driveway. Others ask, "She come back again today?" Marla always answers the same way. She never really leaves. Hope has made the porch her own, not with markings or digging, but with presence. Her scent lingers in the woven fibers of the blanket. Her bowl stays untouched by raccoons or cats. It's as if the house itself recognizes her now. One morning a neighbor stops by. Joyce, silver-haired and soft-spoken, holds a cup of coffee in one hand and a wrinkled photo in the other. "I think I saw her weeks ago," she says, tapping the image with her finger. "Behind the market dumpsters, she was eating cardboard." Marla frowns. "You're sure it was her?" "Same eyes," Joyce whispers. "No one forgets those eyes." Another neighbor, Tim, chimes in later. "She was chased off by a couple of teens. Thought it was funny." Marla's stomach twists. By week's end, more stories surface. Hints of a frightened dog darting through alleyways. A distant bark during garbage night. Someone even swears they saw her being shoved out of a pickup truck at the edge of town. Marla says nothing in response. But that night she moves the outdoor crate closer to the door. She lines it with towels, adds a worn sweatshirt from the laundry, and places a heating pad beneath it. She doesn't know if Hope will use it, but she wants her to have the choice. The next day the storm arrives. Rain hits hard, sharp and fast like a warning. Thunder cracks open the sky. The wind screams down the street, lifting flower pots and scattering leaves like confetti. Marla watches from inside, fingers clenched. The crate sits empty. An hour passes, then two. The sky darkens further. She starts to worry she'll never see her again. But just after 9, a flicker on the porch camera. Hope. Drenched. She steps onto the porch slowly, legs trembling, water streaming from her coat. She doesn't look for food, doesn't sit. She crawls into the crate. Marla sees her curl tight around the heating pad. Her eyes are closed before the thunder rumbles again. Marla turns off the living room light and sits by the window watching. Hope doesn't stir. She breathes slow, heavy breaths, the kind that only come when survival finally pauses. The rain keeps falling. Marla doesn't sleep much that night, but Hope does. And for the first time, it seems like the nightmares have stopped chasing her. It happens just after midnight. The coyote moves like a whisper across the back fence, sleek, silent, hungry. Its eyes catch the porch light, and for a moment it freezes, watching the house. Inside, Marla stirs. The wind has died down, the rain is gone, but something feels wrong. She sits up in bed, heart thudding. Then she hears it. A bark, not a yelp, not a whine. A bark, sharp, fierce, defiant. Marla races to the front door. She opens it just in time to see Hope standing at the edge of the porch, head low, body stiff, teeth bared. The coyote lingers, ears back, but Hope barks again, louder this time, and the coyote turns, disappearing into the dark. Hope doesn't chase. She stays planted like a sentinel. The moment the threat is gone, she turns and looks at Marla. Their eyes meet. Marla whispers, "You barked?" Hope doesn't move. But something's different. Marla leaves the door open as she steps outside slowly. She doesn't bring food, doesn't reach out. She just sits on the porch step and waits. Hope hesitates at the threshold. She looks at the crate, then the open doorway. Then she takes a step forward. One paw lands on the hardwood inside, then the next. Marla doesn't breathe. Hope sniffs once, twice. She pads across the entryway slowly, legs stiff. Her claws click against the floor. She doesn't go far, just a few feet in. Then she lies down on the threshold, half in, half out. Marla lets out a breath. "You don't have to stay," she says quietly. "But if you want to, this can be yours." Hope stays there all night. When morning comes, Marla finds her still curled by the door, asleep. A pool of sunlight spills across her body. Her ears flick as Marla steps closer, but she doesn't lift her head. Later that day, Riley, the local rescue coordinator, arrives with a mobile vet kit. Marla didn't want to bring Hope to a clinic, not yet, not until she's ready. Riley crouches near the edge of the doorway. "She's thin," she murmurs. "Too thin, but no broken bones, no open wounds, no infections." Marla kneels beside her. "So she's okay?" Riley nods. "Malnourished, worn down, but strong." Marla runs her fingers along the threshold wood, inches from Hope's paw. "She's endured so much." "She chose the right door," Riley says softly. That night, Marla leaves the door open again. Hope steps inside without hesitation. She doesn't wander, doesn't explore. But when she sees the blanket by the fireplace, she walks over, circles twice, and lies down. Her ribs still show, her fur still sheds in uneven clumps. But her eyes, those eyes, are calmer. Marla whispers her name once. Hope doesn't move, but her tail thumps gently against the rug, once, then again. Not survival, not reflex, something else. She's letting herself belong. The house is different now. It's not the paint or the curtains or the smell of brewing coffee that makes it feel that way. It's the soft sound of paws on hardwood, the rustle of movement near the window, the quiet presence that fills the rooms without ever asking for anything. Hope doesn't need to knock anymore. She wakes on the rug near the fireplace, stretches long and slow, and pads into the kitchen where Marla is pouring her first cup of coffee. Her walk still carries the echo of the days she went hungry, but there's strength in it now. Muscle has returned to her legs. Her coat grows thicker with each passing week. Marla turns. "Morning, sweetheart." Hope blinks up at her. No bark. Just a flick of the ears and the softest wag of her tail. She eats now with a little more confidence. No longer checking over her shoulder. No longer pausing after each bite, as if she's bracing for it to be taken away. Marla still places the bowl gently, always in the same spot, and Hope waits until she steps back, even now. Some habits take longer to let go. The crate on the porch is still there. Marla hasn't moved it. Sometimes, when the wind blows hard or the sky clouds over, Hope still steps outside to check it. She sits in front of it for a while, just watching the street. Marla understands. That crate was her first yes, the first place she felt allowed to stay. They go for short walks in the evening now. Hope stays close, no leash needed. When another dog passes, she stiffens, but she no longer tucks her tail. She just watches, then looks back at Marla as if to ask, "Is this okay?" Marla always nods. "You're safe." In the afternoons, Hope curls beneath the living room window. It's her favorite spot. The sun lands just right there, warm and quiet. She sleeps in that beam for hours, her breathing deep and steady, Sometimes she dreams. Her legs twitch, her nose quivers. Marla never wakes her. One morning, a delivery driver steps onto the porch. Hope barks, not loud, not sharp, just once. A warning. Marla opens the door and places a hand on her head. It's all right. Hope calms immediately. She's not a guest anymore. She belongs here. One evening, Marla sits by the fire with a book open but unread. Hope lies next to her, head resting on one paw. Marla reaches down and brushes a hand across her shoulder. The fur is soft now. No more patches. No more bones pressing through skin. Hope opens one eye, then closes it again. Marla whispers, "You never had to beg." Hope doesn't move, but the tip of her tail flicks once across the rug. And that says everything. She didn't cry, she didn't chase, she didn't demand a thing. Hope just sat. She waited. And in that quiet, she reminded everyone that dignity can live in desperation, and that sometimes the most powerful rescue doesn't begin with a leash or a cage. It begins with being seen. If this story moved you, leave a comment below. Share it with someone who understands quiet strength, and don't forget to subscribe, because sometimes healing starts on a doorstep.